Your views, your news, your Limerick Today with Joe Nash on Live 95.
Employers are often under pressure to find staff that are qualified and willing to fill a position, and then it can be very hard to maintain someone's interest in the job. So what can be done about it? Well, Denise O'Brien is Managing Director of O'Brien Learning Solutions, and she's with me in the studio now. Hello, Denise. How are you?
Good morning, Joe. How are you?
And this is the plus and the minus of pretty much full employment, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. So the market forces are tough out there for employers at the moment, Joe. So in the work that I do, I help organisations to create a corporate culture that attracts and retains top talent. And I've been working with companies now since COVID hit, especially around how to retain the people that they get, because they're hard got to begin with.
Yeah. What is quiet quitting? I've never heard of this expression before this morning.
Yeah, it's a phrase that came out of the post-COVID kind of backlash to, just going in and doing the 9 to 5 and doing the same humdrum thing every day. There was the Great Resignation was one phrase, and then we had
I heard of that one.
Quiet quitting. Yeah, so quiet quitting is where people show up, they're getting paid to do a job, but they're doing the bare minimum. They're not engaged. And they're not really on the bus, as we say. Well,
yes, and you can see how that's bad for the employer, but it can't be good for the employee either. It must be pretty soul-destroying eventually to just go in and do that humdrum thing every single day.
Yeah, so it becomes really important for the employer and the employee to find that spark that ignites some bit of interest, engagement. Look, I suppose the dream for all of us is to win the lotto and buy the yacht, but while we still have to work, there has to be a better way of doing things. And there is. The good news is that it is possible. Like, I work with leadership teams and managers to help them to understand how to create a compelling vision and how to get people to line up behind that.
But if the job itself, and there are jobs that are formulaic, they're necessary, they're important, but they're formulaic. Where's the inspiration bit?
Well, I'll tell you, interestingly enough, I have a lovely story about that. So one of the people that I worked with over COVID online, when we were all locked down, was a gentleman who was working in retail, and really, really struggling for resources at the time. And they get a lot, students coming in, people who it's like more of a hobby than a job. They just need a few pounds in their pocket for the weekend. And he said to me, what he does as a manager is he sits these people down and he says, look, I know you probably don't want a career here in this corner shop, but while you're here with me, I'm going to teach you skills that you're going to need in every single job that you go into. So he gave them this inspirational, motivational speech. And I think, there's something in that, Joe, because when I was younger in college, I did the waitressing jobs. I worked in service industries where I cut my teeth, and I learned about service excellence, customer service, timekeeping,
dealing with Egypts,
dealing with customers, the public.
See the way she said that.
I've been very
customers,
polite.
That's all the training that you had over the years. I can call them Egypts, but you no. Customers.
But yeah, you learn, you grow, you earn your stripes that way.
Yeah, and that is a brilliant motivational tool. Listen, when you think about it,
I thought he was brilliant, and he really stood out, and you could see how people would want to get in behind him and have a bit of loyalty to him as a manager.
The other thing is, at different stages of people's lives, that could be the ideal job for them, couldn't it?
Absolutely. So he's in that sector where you may get someone returning to the workplace who just wants to work part-time. It's handy, it's in the location, they might even be able to walk to work. So yeah, it depends on the age cohort as well that you're trying to attract into the role.
What about the fact that the other thing, just being human nature, is always shiny? Oh, look at that other thing over there.
The bright, shiny object. Well, it's interesting you should say that. I do some work with aviation companies out in Shannon. So I'm from Shannon originally. And that is the most competitive workplace you can imagine. People are headhunted. They're drawn away by other businesses, competitors, for extra money, extra status, titles, all that kind of stuff. But what I would say is that, and this is the advice I'm given to people when I'm working with them, is if you want to develop yourself and be a manager or eventually a leader, maybe a senior leader, you have to kind of start where you are and look at the breadth and the depth of the role that you have. A lot of people are hungry now, they're ambitious. I get it, I understand it. Coming out of college, going into a high paying job. but you need to get your experience.
There's one other point, which is, references and how someone sells you if they're asked, well, how was Johnny or Mary in the job they did for you? That still matters, doesn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. It can't be that, well, he came in and, he barely warmed the seat and he was gone again. It has to be, well, he added value, he was reliable, he made a difference in some way. Yeah.
And you can see how that makes a difference to people. If that's what they hear, brilliant, fantastic, you're so lucky to have X, Y, or Z.
Yeah.
The whole attitude actually between employer and employee can change.
Absolutely.
It can turn on that, can't it?
It can. I had to do that recently for someone that was doing a bit of work for me on a part-time basis. They're going to get a permanent job now, and I'm delighted for them. I'll miss them, but I gave them a fantastic reference because they were really, agile and flexible with me. They did above and beyond, and that really travels with you, like when you're out there.
Yeah. So can people get in touch with you to learn more about what you do at O'Brien Learning Solutions?
Yeah, so I'm available online, o'brienlearningsolutions.ie. And you can contact me directly there, Denise at O'Brien Learning Solutions.
Okay, and so the employers can learn how to try and make the job inspirational.
Well, yeah, to create a culture that people want to be a part of and that they'd like to stay around for, Joe, because, it's said that actually at the moment you'd be lucky to get about 2 years out of a person. So I think if you accept that and try and work with that, you're away in a hack. All
right, fantastic. Well, listen, we look forward to talking to you again. Thank you very much. Really interesting tips this morning as well. Denise O'Brien, Managing Director of O'Brien Learning Solutions.
Your views, your news, your Limerick Today with Joe Nash on Live 95.